Of course, there's been some major events, major current event stories, that's an understatement, regarding Israel and Iran, the nuclear attacks, Donald Trump calling on Israel to pull back from attacking Iran. Those on the left tend to really criticize the president for what he did. Those on the right tend to support him for what he did. And there are those on both the left and the right that wish he would have not asked Israel to be pulled back. It's kind of all over the map in a lot of ways. We're going to get the opinion and take on someone who's been following these events closely. He's a political consultant. He's someone who's written a white paper on how Israel can achieve victory in Gaza, which has been received and read by the Iranian Security Department. Let me welcome back Dave Crystal. Dave, good to see you again. Let me ask you, first of all, do you believe that the Trump administration, when they say that they achieved tremendous success on attacking Fordow and, overall the Iranian nuclear facilities, or do you think that's an overstatement, as some have said?
Well, good to be back, Rick. Thanks for having me. I think you made a Freudian slip. I don't know if I want the Iranians to be reading my papers.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Israeli. Yeah.
I might not appear in your next show, but the Israeli Security Council, or members thereof, or cabinet, I should say, did read my white paper on Gaza.
My bad. It was a Freudian, I want to use it as Israeli Security Department. Yeah.
I also parenthetically wrote a white paper, also published in JFeed, regarding Fordow and what could have been in terms of an Iranian revolution against the Islamic Revolution. I'm happy to discuss that. But to answer your question, it's very nuanced and it's very fascinating. In my studies of history and warfare, I can't recall any such time where such a good, to quote, beautiful and bold decision was followed by such a bad decision. So Trump and our armed services made absolutely the right decision, a bold decision, a somewhat risky decision, but the right decision in bombing Fordow and Natanz and Isfahan. But 36 hours later, made the wrong decision in putting tremendous pressure on Israel to pull back. I believe the Iranian Islamic regime was about 2 weeks away from military failure. And by that, I mean they're about 2 weeks away of exhausting their supply of ballistic missiles, which would have allowed Israel to dedicate all her planes to bombing IRCG headquarters, police headquarters, you name it, which would open the doors to the true liberation of the Iranian people. So I think a big historic opportunity was missed on the back end of that bold and correct decision to bomb Fordow.
What do you say to those who would say, but if Trump allowed that to occur, it may have gotten Putin and Russia involved to...
I don't think so.
As Putin said he would?
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Putin talks big,
yeah,
but he's so extended. And in a way, this war has been a big boon for Ukraine as it is, because many of the drones that the Iranians use against Israel and our American troops, at least parenthetically, would have and could have and most likely would have been given to Putin to use against Ukraine. So Putin is on the margins a loser in all of this. And I don't think either is in a position to provide great military assistance to the other. Putin has his hands full, and the Iranians really would have had their hands full had the Israelis been allowed to continue with full force to try to topple the government.
Do you think the U.S. was successful in eliminating or near eliminating the nuclear capability of Iran, or do you feel that they got the uranium-enriched products trucked out of there, as we've heard reported? We've heard reported minimal damage. We've heard reported major damage. What do you think?
Right. So herein lies a problem with semantics. I'm obviously a Trump supporter, full and fair disclosure. I think you know that. Anyone watching this should know that. I voted for Trump 3 times. At the same time, I pride myself on being objective. And my main issue with Trump, and I'm sure many people will parrot this, is that he's still too salesy and engages too much in hyperbole. And especially when dealing in matters of life and death and military conflict, you want to try to get the semantics as precisely as possible. So quote unquote obliterated is way too strong a term. And there's a difference between obliterating one site and obliterating a nuclear program. It's unclear whether we obliterated Fordo. I hope we did, probably, but I don't know. Certainly, all three sites sustained heavy damage, and it was a good thing. But obliterating a nuclear program, in this case, requires killing at least 95% of the Iranian scientists working on it, and or destroying all enriched uranium, preferably both. And I think Israel throughout the years, maybe if it's lucky, assassinated 30 to 35% of Iran's nuclear scientists. Still, they have know-how. And as long as they have the know-how and enough enriched uranium for several suitcase dirty bombs, which they do, Western civilization better make sure their ports are secure and their entry points are secure. Another reason why it's a good thing Biden's not the president. But more importantly, Western civilization and America need to wake up and realize that the existential threat of Iran is not just nuclear. It's conventional, and as long as they have any enriched uranium and the know-how, it's the threat of a dirty bomb, which won't kill millions, but could kill tens of thousands. So the ultimate threat is the Iranian regime, and there will not be peace in this world until that Iranian regime is replaced by a proud, true democratic Persian regime.
And Trump is encouraging the Iranian people to step up and overthrow the current regime. Reports are that the typical Iranian citizen is not happy with the Iranian regime. But we've heard this story before.
Right.
Do you think there's any possibility that really happens to success?
Well, we may not have time to go into detail the plan that I wrote. Your audience can find it on JFeed. It's called Beware the Fordo Euphoria. So, yes, 90% of the Iranian population wants to overthrow the regime, but not a single one of them, or at least the vast majority, not a single one of them, have access to guns. Their food is controlled, their gas is controlled, their electricity is controlled, everything is controlled by the regime. And I feel horrible, especially as a Jewish American. We Jews always say, why didn't more people do anything to save us in the 30s before the Holocaust kicked into full gear? Well, the Iranian people have been suffering their 1930s for the last 20 years, and not enough people are doing anything to help them. What people don't realize is, since Israel was pulled back and a so-called ceasefire has taken place, over 700 innocent Persian Iranians have been arrested,
right,
many of whom have already been hanged, and the rest probably will be hanged sooner or later for quote-unquote sedition.
That's true.
Oppression is pervasive. So the only way to liberate the Iranian people is to knock out every police station, every IRCG headquarters, every symbol of the regime, and then empower Kurdish forces from Syria and Iraq to liberate the Kurdistan region, the Elam and Loristan regions, the plurality or majority Kurdish regions of Western Iran, and then have an actual physical base that the dissidents can flee to, and thereupon begin the real liberation of Iran.
Dave, we have less than a minute. Let me ask you your opinion. Where do you think it goes from here?
I think we're going to be in a stalemate for many years now. Unfortunately, I feel horrible for the Iranian people. I think the Iranian regime is a master of procrastination and prevarication, and they're going to tap this along until they're at a point where their centrifuges are running again, and then we're going to be at this 5-7 years from now in the same or similar fashion. We came very close to historic change, but I feel like we missed the opportunity.
All right. Dave Crystal, political consultant. Your white paper, as I say, made it to the Israeli Security Department, not the Iranians, the Israeli. Thank you for joining us on this timely topic.
Thanks for having me.